welcome back to another episode of Panther Pod, the podcast where we interview the campus's most requested people for your viewing entertainment. I'm your host, Max Ortiz, and this is your co-host,
Mauricio Aguilar.
and today's guest is Bradley Bartholomew.
Nice to have you here.
bro.
What's up, guys?
So, we heard you're in the wrestling team.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so why did you join the wrestling team?
I just thought it would be a more challenging sport than all the other sports, and I wanted something that was just different.
So, what about the sport is challenging to you?
Mostly our workouts, the fact that we have to stay at least until like 5 o'clock most days for our practices, and then we have to just do a lot of sprints, and then like the room that we stay in isn't like really ventilated, so like all the heat stays in
there.
So yeah.
So like, when you guys practice, do you guys use like chairs and you slam on each other's backs, climb ladders?
No.
Do you do
Like, what do you guys do?
WWE style wrestling?
You guys
Or
wrestle in
is
a
it-
ring, or is it just like on the floor?
It's on a mat. So like it's a heavily padded mat that just it doesn't really hurt like if you fall on it.
So it is kind of like a WWE ring, but just without the ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen anybody get injured at the club? Like, if you have, what is the worst injury you've seen?
Yeah, my freshman year, we were against Poly, and we were actually at Poly that day, and this guy named Jesus, but everybody called him like Sebastian at the time. He had graduated, but he had like dislocated his shoulder, and then like my coach just forfeited like the whole like entire thing because like the ambulance had to come and whatnot.
You guys
It-
kind of just pop it back in?
No, it was like
Keep
really
going?
bad. But luckily I was able to wrestle that day because I went up before him.
So, did you see it like go down?
Unfortunately I didn't. I was like talking to my friend at the time.
Did you just hear like a really loud slam on the ground?
Yeah, it was just really bad.
So what about? So I mean, when did you start wrestling?
Technically 8th grade, but I started really 9th grade for high school. In 8th grade I was just like doing it for fun after PE, like after we were done with like everything, and I found myself with like more free time than I had anticipated.
So is it like other sports where you go like to playoffs and then championships and that stuff, or is it like does it have a different style? Like,
No,
ranking?
it's like the more league matches, which are like typically at the schools, which I mean in a sense they don't really like count, but like the 562.org, like they look at that type of stuff so for like colleges, and then it goes to the more league finals, and then after that if you place 3rd or better in there, then you go to CIF, and then if you place 5th or better, then you go to Masters, but if you place 6th exactly, then you qualify for Masters. And then after Masters, you go to state. But I don't know what place you need to be for state.
So, how long is that whole process? It sounds like 7 different steps.
Yeah, it's up until December, maybe until early March that it'll probably like end.
So when does it start?
December, around there. So that would be
From
like
December to March?
yeah.
Jeez. It's like 3 months.
Yeah, and then there's also like off-season tournaments too. And then speaking of that, there was actually one I had to go to this Saturday in Thousand Oaks. So that was technically going to be my first wrestling match.
So how'd you do?
Oh no, it hasn't happened yet.
Wait,
yeah.
I thought you said you already went.
No, this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday.
All right, I'll be sure
We can cut that out.
I'll be sure to go there with a film club and record it. So, I heard you don't know the power position in wrestling.
No, because there's not really a power position. Every position you can pretty much get out of as long as you know like the right techniques to get out of it.
So can you run us through a couple of power positions?
Sure. The one of the first ones that I like doing is just like a reverse cradle, which is basically you like
Let's
hook.
get the table out of the way so you can demonstrate it real quick.
You basically just hook their when you're at bottom, you hook their back leg, and then you
Mhm.
hook their head, and then you just like squeeze both of those together, and then eventually like you get the pin from there, because how you get a pin is when both of their shoulder blades are directly on the mat for a good 5 seconds.
Is that when the match is over?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they had to do the whole little. Oh, that's when they do the one, and they start slamming the table.
Yeah. Well.
Not the table, but the ground.
Yeah, the mat. So when they start counting, that's for like near fall points. So it's if they get up to 5, then it's 3 near fall points. If they get up to uh, 3 to 4, then it's 2 near fall points. And then after that, like it's just 3 at 5. So and then after that, it's 2 points for a takedown, 1 point for a escape, and then 2 points for a reversal. So
Kind of lost me there. Not gonna lie.
yeah, it's all really complicated to remember. There's a lot of rules that you gotta remember as well, like when you wrestle.
So besides all the complex aspects of the sport, can you tell us some of the fun parts? Like, what's the funnest thing for you personally in the sport?
Um, just wrestling different people, like wondering how their style of wrestling varies from mine.
And how many people would you say you wrestled so far, since like you started wrestling here at Jordan?
Well, throughout my whole high school experience, I've wrestled 44 matches.
Keeps them in check. He just marks them off as he
Mhm.
goes.
So back to the wrestling club. So like
Sport,
sport,
Yeah, well, club and sport.
club and sport.
Yeah.
club
Is
slash
there
sport.
like any requirements you need to have if you want to join?
No, there's no requirements really.
Beginners welcome?
Yeah, anyone's really welcome as long as like you have dedication and stuff, and there's no tryouts as long as you know that you can stay for a certain amount of time and that you're willing and able to completely participate in our practices, then you can stay.
All right. So here's a little thing, a little experiment I want to try. Try to sell me on the sport. Like if you wanted to get me to join the club,
Try to
what would
sell
you tell
you
me?
on the sport.
Like right now you're looking at me and you want me to join your club slash sport. What are you gonna say?
Well, Max, do you have a gym membership?
Yeah.
All right, well, then you won't have to pay anymore.
Oh,
Then all you have to do is just join wrestling.
Bradley Bartholomew, the salesman. All right. See, problem
So
is I
you're-
have a contract with Crunch, so I can't cancel my membership.
Ooh.
What else do you got?
You can also learn a bunch of different techniques that you wouldn't be able to in a normal martial arts class. And on top of that, it's free.
All right, it's
and
completely
it's-
free.
And it's
free.
readily
That's
here
how
at
you
school.
sell out. That's how you sell it to people. It's free.
So you did qualify for Masters, right?
Yeah, I
in the
did.
pre-interview, you told us this.
Yeah, but basically, if you're sixth place exactly, then you have to see if everyone else makes weight that's in your weight class. So I'm 152s, and everyone else made weight class at 152. So I wasn't able to completely go on further to masters.
You're in the 150s.
Yeah.
I'm in the 150s. What a coincidence.
So what else do you do around school?
I mostly also help out clubs and stuff with their posters and stuff. I help out a lot of different clubs. But now that time's probably going to be like dwindled down since I have a bunch of other things to do with college wise.
Oh yeah, the old college applications.
Are you
Yeah.
planning to play
Wrestle in
be in
college?
yeah wrestle in college?
Yeah, I've only applied to schools that had wrestling. So
Which
Like,
ones?
Yeah.
Cal Baptist University, UC Santa Barbara, UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, just a lot of schools in general. I think there was only 11 that I narrowed it down to.
Okay.
So have you done have you finished them, or are you still in the process of doing them?
I've completely finished with all my applications. I'm just waiting to submit them because I can only get approval from my Upward Bound
Yeah.
coach.
So you did your PIQs too?
Yeah.
Damn, I'm lacking on those. I've been too busy trying to film a skit for film club, you know. So in the club, where are you allowed to wrestle? And like in the club or in your sport, you're allowed to
I'm
like wrestle newcomers, just anyone.
Well, I mean, if anyone really wants to wrestle me, they can, but I'm really only like allowed to wrestle my coach Chris, Miguel, and our assistant coach who comes in now and then.
So are you the captain of the sport?
Well, just like the I guess co-captain with Miguel, so we're kind of like side by side.
Yeah, so both of you are the captains then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how have you guys both been in the sport for how long? Like how
For
long
the
have you
same
both of
amount?
you been
Well,
in the sport?
I've been in the sport the longest out of everyone in there. If you mean just continually being there, I've been there the longest so far.
So I always see. So you mentioned that it's in the old days building, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always see Miguel just posted out there shirtless, trying to look like a statue or something. It's like, is that how you guys reel people in? You just let Miguel stand outside shirtless?
I mean, it's like a jungle in there sometimes. Like,
So it gets really hot in the A's building, right?
yeah. So Miguel, he just does his thing, and everyone just does their own thing in there. It's a really like free room. Yeah.
So does that make it like easier to just bond with your other
Yeah.
sportsmen?
Yeah, I mean, as long as like you know your place and like you don't like overstep your boundaries, like just then everything's just calm.
Have you guys ever had any confrontations in there where it's like know your
No,
place and you just
no,
go
no,
all out?
nothing like that's really happened in there.
Well, I did this one time. I went to the beach and we outlined a circle in the ground, and we treated it more like sumo wrestling than actual wrestling. So I think that's why it was way harder because you just have to push them out the circle. Have you guys ever tried sumo wrestling?
Yeah, sometimes we play like little mini games like in the wrestling room, like on like our leisure days.
So who's like the champion of the mini games? Who usually wins?
Um, Honestly, I wouldn't really know because we don't really like play many mini games. The only mini game I guess we kind of really play is like a like wrestling chess. So we basically like
Wrestling chess?
yeah. So we like name one person like the king, and then we both get like equal like members on each side of the team, and we have to pin that other like we have to pin their king basically.
Oh, so like how many people are on the mat at the same time when you guys do that?
Maybe around 11.
How big is the mat?
Well, we actually have the biggest wrestling room out of all the other schools. So,
Big flexer, big
Yes.
flexer.
so we have three mats in there that are pretty big. I don't know their dimensions, but they're pretty big.
Can you guys like are they like stuck to the ground or can you move them together and like just make one big mat?
No, yeah, you can move them. But like they weigh a good 500 pounds each. So, yeah.
You guys should do that as a workout then.
Is there any like opponent that like stuck out to you in your whole like career wrestling from another school or something?
Yeah. Like my poly opponent. Ever since like then ever since I think it was 10th grade, I had to go against Poly, and they were a very very tough school to beat every time. And since then, I haven't been able to beat their varsity team. But
What do you say about
yeah.
them stands out? Like their technique, the way they wrestle?
I don't know. I guess they're just more focused, more like aimed to one thing, and like they have like plan Bs for their plan A.
Does that mean you don't got a plan B for your plan A?
I mean, I try to, but you know, sometimes things get countered, and I can't really like maneuver the way I want.
Like, if you can you try and like run us through one of your poly matches and how it kind of goes down?
Sure. Well, last year, when I had wrestled against Polly over there, they had like it was a shorter guy, because like shorter people are usually better at taking down like taller people, and um he was like more fast, and like he stayed low to the ground like the whole time.
He was
And
nimble.
yeah, and I couldn't really like get lower than him.
So how did he end up pinning you?
Well, he didn't end up hitting me. He ended up winning by points.
Oh, he
So yeah,
Mayweathered you then.
yeah. There's two ways to win: by pinning and by points.
So now that we're on the topic of wrestling, I know for a fact you've heard of the WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, like, who hasn't? So, what are your opinions on the WWE as a wrestler?
I mean, personally, it's fine to me. I don't really watch it though, because I don't. I can't really learn from it. I only watch wrestling that I can really like learn from.
Here's a big question right here. Do you think you can take down the Big Show?
Probably not.
So, why would you say that most wrestlers go into pro wrestling and not like big shot wrestling, like big shot acting wrestling?
Well, what do you mean, like Olympic wrestling or like WWE?
No, yeah, like WWE. Why do like most
Well,
wrestlers and pro wrestlers go into the WWE?
I think it's because it's more of like like an acting thing, and it's a more steady career, I guess, than like always constantly getting hurt in UFC, or even a different,
Olympic wrestling.
yeah, or Olympic wrestling.
Do you think the amount of money they get paid and the fame that they get, it has an influence on that?
Possibly.
Yeah. One more question on the topic of the WWE. Who would win in a match? You or Rey Mysterio?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like, do you think you can handle the 619?
I don't even know who that is.
Definitely can't handle the 619 then. So do you like... No, I'm going completely off topic here. Do you like movies?
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of what kind of movies you like?
Well, one of my favorite movies is The Purge.
The Purge?
Yeah.
Did you know in Film Club we can record a movie like The Purge?
I'm pretty
Join
sure.
up. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday.
Hey, I'll try to make it try.
Put us on to your top 5 drawing tips. Like, if anyone out there is trying to draw, what kind of tips would you give them? Because I kind of need them. I'm a terrible drawer.
I don't know. Okay. Well, first I would say just practice your shading with the pencil at first, and then after that move on to more advanced things like a pen. Start trying to do like hashing to with a pen to try getting more like crisp lines to represent shading there. Third would probably be to try to start doing watercolor to also practice like your
How do you
light.
do watercolors?
Watercolors are more like the more water you add, the lighter your image will be. The more paint that you add, the darker it will be. So the darker parts you would want to have like as your shadows, or if you want to do it inverted, you can have your light as your shadows.
So you also paint as well as draw?
Yeah. I guess the fourth tip I would say is always make sure like you have like the tip of like your pencil should always stay
Sharpened?
like, well, not sharpened, but at a certain like angle, so you can get like a more precise line. And then the fifth is something like I say to a lot of people is like anyone can make art, but not everyone can make a masterpiece.
Okay, well, there we go. I'm going to quote that real quick. So that was today's segment for Put Somebody On. For now, I'm going to practice those tips, and then I'll show the drawing at the end of the podcast.
All right. Well,
So you're taking over for now. I'm going to draw.
I know. So what else? Is there anything like you'd like to say? Anything else? Any people you want to shout out? Your team? Anything?
Mr. Headley, my art teacher, is a pretty cool guy.
Pretty cool guy. Shout out to Mr. Headley. I don't know what you look like, but shout out to
He's a
you.
big guy.
Yeah, he's a taller man.
Could you wrestle him?
Oh, probably not. No. But he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
What do you like
Eh,
about Headley's class?
The fact that it's just more. It just feels more free. You're able to express yourself more. Like more in his class, and then you're able to make these really nice pieces of art but digitally, on Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator.
So ever since you joined Headley's class, have you ever tried to delve deeper into digital media, or do you just stick to pen and pencil?
Yeah, are you gonna
brush and
choose that as
canvas?
a career later?
Yeah, I try to stick more to pen and pencil.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of Panther Pod. Thank you to our special guest Bradley, who's in the wrestling club/team.
He's
And
also
you can-
co-captain of the club and the sport.
And you can find him in the old Ace building if you would like to join.
What's the number of the old Ace building?
The 550 building.
The 550 building, also by the Myrtle Gate, the back gate in the bungalow area.
Yeah.